It's May 22nd here in Seoul, and I'm Kim Dami. We begin with these stories making the headlines at this hour, starting with campaigning for the upcoming June presidential election. The three main runners are speeding up their campaigns with just 12 days left until the big day. The Democratic Party's Lee Jae-myung is making his way down to Jeju Island on Thursday, while the People Power Party's Kim Keon-hee targets voters in southern Gyeonggi-do province, and the Reform Party's Jun-seok appeals to voters in Incheon. The Pentagon has formally accepted a jet intended for the Air Force One fleet from Qatar, despite accusations of bribery over such a gift. For the first time in his 15-year European club career, Tottenham Hotspur South Korean captain Heung-min has lifted his first trophy after Tottenham beat Manchester United in the final of the UEFA Europa League on Wednesday. Democratic Party candidate Lee Jae-myung is now expanding his campaign trail down to the country's resort island of Jeju on Thursday, after spending a solid day in Incheon City, where his constituency is located. Our correspondent Shin Ha-young has more.
Democratic Party presidential candidate Lee Jae-myung has continued his campaign in the Greater Seoul metropolitan area for the third consecutive day, this time in the city of Incheon.
The sea takes in both murky and clean water. Isn't that the spirit of unity in Incheon? Winning in Incheon is what makes it a true victory. Will you help make that happen?
Incheon holds special significance for Lee Jae-myung as it was a stepping stone in his political comeback after narrowly losing to former President Yoon in the 2022 presidential election. During his Wednesday rallies, he visited Gyeonggi district, the constituency he represents in the Nat'l Assembly. Following the previous presidential election, Lee won a by-election in Gyeonggi and was re-elected in last year's general election. Lee thanked the people of Gyeonggi for supporting his comeback. He aimed to win votes by sharing his economic vision for Incheon, a global gateway city with an airport and port focusing on logistics and the bio industry. Ahead of Wednesday's rally, he also laid out pet-friendly policy pledges. In a social media post, he promised to enact a so-called Basic Animal Welfare Act and work to create a government agency dedicated to promoting animal welfare. He also pledged to reduce pet care costs, especially for veterinary services, by setting standard fees and promoting the expansion of pet insurance. He also addressed the issue of stray cats.
Since more than 25% of people have pets, we need appropriate policies for them. On issues like stray cats, where opinions differ, we should find ways to coexist without causing problems for others.
Additionally, he pledged to prevent animal abuse and abandonment by introducing a policy that bans offenders from owning animals for a set period. Shin Ha-young, Arirang News.
Now, the People Power Party candidate Kim Keon-hee continues to stick around the metropolitan area to solidify his support in the capital region. And his ambitions to merge with his fellow conservative rival, Reform Party's Lee Jun-seok, remain strong. Our Kim Do-yeon reports.
Continuing his efforts to boost support in the capital region, People Power Party candidate Kim Keon-hee on Wednesday chose northern Gyeonggi-do province, appealing to locals that he's a two-term Gyeonggi-do province governor. As he's the one who started the GTX, an express railway system connecting the outskirts of Seoul to its center, he pledged there will be more of these for all.
I promise you, I'll make sure anyone can travel anywhere within an hour. I'll deliver a transportation revolution.
Kim started his rally from the northwest and moved clockwise to hit 6 cities in one day. Areas Kim rallied also near and border North Korea, and much of the land here remains undeveloped due to long-standing security and environmental restrictions. Kim says if elected, he'll lift those limits to attract companies and institutions to create more jobs and opportunities in the region. Meanwhile, his efforts towards a merger with a fellow conservative rival, the Reform Party's Jun-seok, continued, as he called the move a game changer in the current losing landscape.
As for a dramatic turnaround, there's candidate Jun-seok, who once served as our party leader and is now running independently. I believe that in the end, he and I will merge our campaigns and that he could play a key role in leading us to victory in this presidential race. I'm hopeful things will work out.
But Jun-seok is still publicly rejecting the idea. Still, the outreach continues. PPP lawmaker An Chol-soo visited Lee on the campaign trail in an apparent attempt to open dialogue. Momentum is building, though. Former PPP chairman and the primary runner-up Han Dong-un began campaigning for Kim on Tuesday, though they haven't appeared together yet. Han made clear that he wouldn't hit the trail unless the party distanced itself from impeached ex-president Yoon Suk-yeol. Now that Yoon has left the party, Han appears to be on board. And to add to the distancing, PPP interim leader Kim Keon Hee publicly apologized for controversy surrounding former First Lady Kim Keon Hee. After his debate proposal for First Lady prospects was rejected, he urged the DP to suggest their own format, saying vetting should still happen. Kim Do-yeon, Arirang News.
Reform Party candidate Lee Jun-seok will also stay in the capital area on Thursday as he continues to reach out to young voters and centrists. He's scheduled to hold a discussion with Chae Won-il, former captain of the Cheonan warship, which was torpedoed by North Korea in 2010. He will also continue meeting with students, this time at Inha University. Yesterday, People Power Party lawmaker An Chol-soo met with Lee to persuade him to unify his candidacy with the PPP's Kim Moon-soo. Now, Lee once again rejected the idea, saying he's focused on a winning strategy. His spokesperson said Wednesday as well that certain figures from the PPP proposed a merger in exchange for Lee Jun-seok's party leadership. The Trump administration has formally accepted a jet from Qatar for use as Air Force One, a gift that the White House calls legitimate, while controversies over the gift are nowhere near being tamed. Our Shin Se-byuk has the details.
The U.S. has accepted a luxury Boeing 747 jet gift from Qatar for use as Air Force One. President Donald Trump received a $400 million luxury jet during a recent visit to Qatar and announced plans to use it for future presidential travel. This, however, has sparked controversy in Washington, with critics raising concerns over potential impropriety and foreign influence. Pentagon spokesperson Sean Parnell said in a statement Wednesday that the plane was accepted in accordance with all federal rules and regulations. He added that the Defense Department is working to ensure the aircraft meets the necessary security standards and mission requirement for presidential transport. The U.S. Air Force is expected to begin modifications to the jet so it can be used as an official presidential aircraft. While there are questions surrounding the luxury jet and the ethics of accepting such an expensive gift from a foreign government, Trump has maintained there's nothing improper.
It's not a gift to me, it's a gift to the Department of Defense.
Qatar has also downplayed the backlash, calling it a routine government-to-government transaction.
I see that this story is taking a different direction and is being more politicized, while it's a normal government-to-government deal.
However, CNN reported earlier this week, citing an anonymous source, that it was the Trump administration, not Qatar, that first initiated the deal. Facing an urgent need for a new Air Force One, the administration reportedly approached Qatar to inquire about acquiring a Boeing 747, and Qatar agreed. During his first term, President Trump had placed an order for a new presidential jet from Boeing, but with the delivery still delayed, he has repeatedly voiced frustration over the wait. Meanwhile, the security upgrades are expected to cost over $1 billion, with Boeing aiming to complete delivery of the newly configured presidential jet by 2027. Shin Se-byuk, Arirang News.
Dozens of trucks of humanitarian aid for Gaza are still sitting at the border, waiting to be distributed to Palestinians in need, while Israel ramps up its offensives, now claiming to have killed Hamas leader Mohammed Sinwar. Lee Seung-ja has more.
work is in full swing to transport relief supplies to Gaza, but aid has still not been distributed to those in need. Around 100 relief trucks have passed through the Palestinian side of the Kerem Shalom checkpoint, with the first of the trucks to arrive there for a third day. The delay comes amid concerns of looting as authorities look to secure a safe route for the trucks.
So far, and this is as a few minutes ago, but the situation obviously is fluid, none of the supplies have been able to leave the Kerem Shalom loading area. This is because by yesterday evening, Israeli authorities had only allowed our teams to go through one area where that was highly congested, that we felt was insecure, and where we felt looting was highly likely to take place given the prolonged deprivation of in Gaza since the blockade by the Israeli authorities for over 11 weeks.
UN officials are consulting with Israeli authorities to determine if another route can be used to deliver the aid. According to UN spokesperson Stefan Dujarric, humanitarian items include baby food, flour, medicine, and nutrition supplies. However, he said that Israel has not allowed hygiene products or fuel into Gaza. Meanwhile, the Israeli military has continued its ground operations in Gaza. According to Al Jazeera, around 80 people were killed in airstrikes in various locations in Gaza on Wednesday. In a press conference on the same day, Israeli Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu said that Israeli military had apparently killed Hamas leader Mohammed Sinwar. He is the younger brother of Hamas former top leader Yahya Sinwar, who was killed in October last year. Netanyahu said that there are currently 20 Israeli hostages alive in Gaza and promised to bring them all back. 이승재, Arirang News.
Russia-Ukraine peace talks are dragging on, even with U.S. President Donald Trump's long desire to broker a deal between them. Is Trump giving up on them now that things are lagging? Let's turn to Professor Christoph Gauden. Good morning.
Good morning. Thanks for having me.
Thanks for joining us. So Trump did have a phone call with Russian President Vladimir Putin earlier this week, only to see little sign of a breakthrough on peace talks. What was it that Trump said or did that failed to, convince Putin here?
I don't think that Trump and Putin are on the same time scale here. Trump's vision is very short term. Trump wants to secure a deal as fast as possible because he said he would. You remember that during his campaign, he said that he would be able to end this war within 24 hours or so, while on the opposite, Putin's vision, basically Putin's term is to end only when he dies. Putin is more concerned with the legacy he will leave in Russian history. Putin wants to restore somehow the USSR. Putin wants to extend Russia, and he has plenty of time. So Putin is not concerned with sacrificing human lives. He's not afraid of making the war last as long as necessary. So, in fact, to answer your question, I don't think anything Trump can say can have any influence on Putin. In a few years, Trump will be gone. He won't be president anymore. While Putin is here until he dies, and his obsession is to restore Russia's lost grandeur.
So there's no reason for Putin to rush through the whole peace process when he knows Trump will be gone within a couple of years. Now, Trump is threatening Russia with sanctions, and now that things are not working out for Trump, is that just a warning or a threat that can actually be realized? What do you think?
You know the saying, barking dogs seldom bite. So in the case of Trump, what we see is that he's very vocal about restoring America's greatness. But what we see in real life is that when it comes to his tariffs, he was forced to back down. pressed by China. When it comes to what is happening in Israel and Palestine, he's unable to pressure Israel, that is a very close ally of the US, to stop these dreadful bombings on Gaza. So if Trump is unable to pressure China, if Trump is unable to pressure Israel, I think, unfortunately, Putin is not an easy man to scare, as you imagine. And I don't think any threats Trump can come with are to scare Putin. I don't think, unfortunately, this is a reasonable assumption to make.
Well, some analysts say they are sensing a possible shift in Trump's stance, that he was leaving both Russia and Ukraine to find a deal without the U.S. as a broker. Professor Gaurang, I'd like to hear your thoughts on the analysis.
In fact, then this, on the opposite, is a very reasonable assumption, because in reality, what is it that the U.S. wanted in Ukraine? The U.S., in particular, under Trump's presidency, was focused on getting Ukraine's resources, namely minerals and rare earth elements. And the US got that. It got secured with this deal Ukraine and the US signed on minerals recently. So now Trump has been able to get everything he wanted to get, and the only thing he's after now is personal glory. He would like this war to end, so he could say that he personally ended this war. But in terms of financial, in terms of material benefits, the US has already received everything they could. So I think that now the US doesn't have anything much to win from this war anymore. So they can back down. Right now, it's mainly between Ukraine and Russia. So to answer your question more directly, the answer is yes, definitely this is what is happening. The US is withdrawing.
Well, would you then say Ukraine is the ultimate victim here? I mean, one, it signed a minerals deal with the U.S. to begin with, and it's still waiting patiently for Moscow to come to the negotiating table, I have to say.
Well, again, the answer is very straightforward here. The answer is yes. What is happening is that basically, if I am a bit blunt here, Russia and the US are sharing the remains of Ukraine. Basically, the US is taking Ukrainian minerals, these rare earth elements the American tech industry needs, while Russia is trying to take away as many territories as they can. So now, from the Ukrainian point of view, what makes it difficult for President Zelensky to sign any kind of peace treaty is that Putin is very unlikely to give up, at least on the territories Russia has conquered. That is basically all the east and southeast of Ukraine, from Donbass to Crimea, basically. Zelensky said that Ukraine will not give up on any of its territories. In reality, the problem is that both Zelensky and Putin have been asking so much to their peoples. So many lives have been lost both in Ukraine and in Russia that it makes it almost impossible for both leaders to back down.
Right.
So that's an issue between Ukraine and Russia. While in the case of America, America has already, as I told you earlier, America has already been able to secure everything America needed to get from this war.
Well, Professor Gaurang, before I let you go, the Pope is now being mentioned as a possible new negotiating bridge. The question is, will Pope be more helpful than Trump?
What I can tell you is that for now, there can be only one Pope in Russia, and this Pope is Putin. Putin is the only major leader with Xi Jinping who didn't attend the funerals of Pope Francis, and he wouldn't even send an ambassador or a representative to these funerals. So I think it is relatively unlikely because from the Russian perspective, the Pope in particular, this new Pope who's American, is actually conceived to be some part of the West as a whole. Putin's Russia is becoming more and more Russia-centric. Therefore, I'm afraid that all non-Russian influences can be expected to be discarded. I'm afraid this is unlikely.
So it won't be easy to see Putin or Zelensky or Trump at the Vatican anytime soon. Professor Gauden, thank you so much for joining us this morning.
Thank you a lot. Bye-bye.
At LIMA 2025 in Malaysia, not just the major defense firms, but also SMEs are presenting their innovative solutions from digital aircraft twins to anti-drone systems, aiming to expand their footprint in the global defense market. Our Kim Keon tells us more.
A Boeing 737's three-dimensional landing gear appears just by wearing a mixed reality headset. This is one of many innovative products Korea's small and medium-sized companies have brought to the Langkawi International Maritime and Aerospace Exhibition, Southeast Asia's largest exhibition of this type. Situated within the booth of the Integrated Korean Pavilion, Augmented Knowledge offers a digital twin of aircraft by integrating AI-based paper manuals with 3D models. Currently being used by several institutions, the cloud service is already helping students learn aircraft maintenance more efficiently. With the innovation that makes paper manuals a legacy of the past, the company aims to open up new opportunities at LIMA 2025.
Malaysia offers relatively low labour costs and has a well-developed MRO industry. We're in contact with both companies like GE Aerospace and local schools, aiming to establish a foothold in Southeast Asia.
Optical communications company Fostec, which is showcasing expanded beam connectors that are reliable for field use, is already producing cables used for Korean missile defense systems like Cheonggung. It now aims to explore more chances in the global market.
Our products are about 1/5 the cost compared to Amphenol and Glenair, with delivery times reduced by about half, while maintaining equal or superior quality standards.
Also eyeing the Southeast Asian market is an anti-drone manufacturer, producing a system that integrates multiple functions into one. It can detect, operate jamming methods, disrupt the signals and spoofing, and send false GPS signals to mislead the drone to move to a different direction.
I've heard that many key officials from important agencies such as the Malaysian Air Force and police will be attending, so we hope there will be an opportunity to participate in bids with the Malaysian government.
With strong government support behind them, Korean defense SMEs are taking a big leap into the global market. Kim Keon, Arirang News, Langkawi.
Tottenham Hotspur's captain Heung-min has finally won a trophy in Europe after spending 15 years on the continent. The Spurs defeated Premier League rivals Manchester United 1-0 on Wednesday in the Europa League final at the San Mamés Stadium in Bilbao, Spain. Tottenham's Brennan Johnson scored the long goal in the 42nd minute to give Spurs their first trophy in 17 years. Now, Son started on the bench but came on in the 67th minute. The South Korean international lifted the first trophy of his professional club career, which began at Hamburg SV in Germany 2010.
Good morning, I'm Choi Ji-hee, and this is The World Now. In an Oval Office meeting on Wednesday, U.S. President Donald Trump confronted South African President Cyril Ramaphosa with allegations of a white genocide targeting white South African farmers.
The encounter was initially intended to discuss trade and diplomatic relations, but escalated into heated exchanges as President Trump presented a video featuring clips of South African politicians inciting violence against white farmers. Trump argued that these clips were evidence that there was a systematic campaign against the white minority in South Africa. Ramaphosa stayed calm but disputed Trump's allegations, saying that black people were more likely to be victims of violence in the country than white people. He also said that his government does not endorse any form of racial violence or related policies. A former Ukrainian politician who had been a senior aide to a pro-Russian president was shot dead outside a school in Madrid, Spain. Andrei Portnov had been deputy head of the presidential administration under former President Viktor Yanukovych. On Wednesday at approximately 9:15 a.m. local time, Portnov was ambushed by several attackers as he returned to his car after leaving his children at the American School of Madrid. Witnesses report he was shot multiple times, including at least once in the head. The attackers fled the scene, heading toward a nearby wooded area. Portnov had been sanctioned by the U.S. Treasury in 2021 for undermining judicial reforms. After fleeing Ukraine in 2014, he lived in Russia and Austria before settling in Spain. Investigations into his killing are ongoing, but no arrests have been reported yet.
Yesterday marked Seoul, the start of summer, and it certainly lived up to its name with sweltering heat all day. Seoul had the hottest May morning over a decade, and of course, daytime temperatures soared past 30 degrees, making it the hottest day of the year so far. Today will be a bit cooler than yesterday, and it should be more comfortable tomorrow. But we also have some rain in the forecast. The amounts will not be that significant, just 5 to 10 millimeters, and most of the rainfall should clear out by tonight. Eastern areas will be a lot more comfortable today, with Daegu, Gyeongju both topping out at 22 and 21 degrees Celsius, but Gwangju, Daejeon still warm at 25 degrees. Looking ahead, tomorrow will be a lot more bearable, but there still will be a lot temperature differences between lows and highs.
That is all we have for this morning. Thank you so much for watching.